Hi, today is April 22nd, 2023, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 664 for the year, The Mysteries Behind the Mirror. I was on the Metro North last Tuesday, heading back to New York, and man, did I have to pee. I had mentioned it to Sam, son of Brian, but I guess I had misunderstood his response. As we were approaching 125th Street, I said, "I'm tempted to get off the train here and find a bathroom," and Sam said, "There's a bathroom on the train." I was relieved, and I immediately went and relieved myself. I mean, in the bathroom, of course. While there, a bathroom mirror door kept opening and closing as I washed my hands. As I washed my hands, I saw behind the door. There was something called a toilet electrical box, and below that a schematic diagram, and there were lights that indicated, among other things, whether or not the drain valve was closed. It was. Whether or not the toilet was out of service. It wasn't, fortunately. And whether or not the toilet was occupied. It was, by me. There was a mysterious date, January 25th, 2011, and a red button that I somehow managed not to press at the time. I didn't remember all of these things. I discovered them today when I looked at the picture I took. I knew that at some point I would want to further investigate the mysteries behind the mirror, and today was that day. Poem number 665, Toilet Electrical Box. There was a door behind the mirror door. It was the one that kept the toilet electrical box locked. I didn't try to open it, so I wasn't able to uncover any of those mysteries. I suppose that all I would have found was a bunch of wires that connected the toilet mechanisms to some electrical source. I googled toilet electrical box, but I saw pictures of the housing rather than the stuff that goes inside the box. I could Google some more and probably find out exactly how it works, but perhaps the schematic below the box explains it. The schematic shows that the water that goes into the sink is from the same source as the water that goes into the toilet, and there's a key that tells you which valves are ejector valves and which are drain valves or air valves or rinse valves or vent valves, but those are valves. Valves are not electric, they are mechanical. So really, if I wanted to truly understand the mysteries of the toilet electrical box, I would have had to have opened its door at the time. Now, if I want to understand those mysteries, I will have to Google. I'm not saying I never will understand the mysteries of the toilet electrical box. I'm saying I will not understand them today, at least not completely. Poem number 666. Red button. As I zoomed in on the picture again just now, I discovered the purpose of the red button beneath the toilet electrical box. It's a red button, so I wondered whether pressing it would send me straight to hell, but I don't think it would have. If it had, that would have been a coincidence. I thought perhaps it was an ejector button like the one in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that sent the glass elevator up and out, but I don't think pressing it would have sent the toilet flying, and that would have been stupid because the button is too far from the toilet. You would need a broom handle to be able to press the button and send the toilet flying with you on it, and why would you want to send the toilet flying if you weren't on it? It's a good thing the red button wouldn't have blown up the Earth, because today is Earth Day, and it would have been a bummer if the Earth wasn't around for Earth Day because it had been blown up last Tuesday. It turns out the red button is to test the status indicators. I assume that means the little lights, like the one that says the toilet is occupied or the one that says the drain valve is closed. So I could have pressed it after all. Poem number 667. This is that poem. 17 or 18 poems ago or so, I said that I had had a discussion about my dinner with Andre and Wallace Shawn with Brian, who booked me to read at Never Ending Books last Tuesday, but I was wrong. Brian and I talked about a lot of interesting things, but the discussion of Wallace Shawn and my dinner with Andre and Cronenberg and some of the other directors was actually with Brian's son, Sam, on that Metro North train back to the city. When I realized this on Wednesday, I thought that I ought to go back and correct that poem, but I also thought maybe I would just write a new poem. I guess this is that poem. In retrospect, I probably ought to have just corrected the earlier poem. Poem number 668, Lost Recordings. Last month, I did a reading at KGB. The start of the reading was delayed because the host needed to go back and get a battery for the camera that she used to take video of the show. A day or two ago, I learned that that video didn't come out, so there is no video, as far as I know, of the first King Missile Dogfly Religion performance since 1987 or 1988. That is sad. It is almost distressing. Last Thursday, I learned that the interview that I recorded with Barno and DJ Kratoven the day before didn't come out either. That is significantly less distressing, as we will just re-record it next week. I think the second interview, which I am hoping will air on WFMU on May 8th, will be better than the first one. So really, the loss of that recording is not distressing at all. Poem number 669, VV. One of the abbreviations in the schematic for the toilet electrical box was VV for vent valve. This reminded me of the song that we wanted for the second emphasis track on the Happy Hour album. We thought it would be fun to follow Detachable Penis with Vulva Void, but the label wouldn't go for it because the label was more scared of vulvas than they were of penises. When we played Vulva Void in the set, we wrote it VVV, and the V in the middle was smaller, the other two capital, which always looked vaguely sexual to me. VV doesn't seem as sexy as VVV, or at least it doesn't to me. And the last poem of the day, poem number 670, Earth Day poem. While all the other poets had spent days or weeks working on their Earth Day poems so that they would have one ready today, I had forgotten it was coming up until a few days ago. And when I realized, I was like, oh yeah, Earth Day. Maybe I ought to think about writing a poem, writing an Earth Day poem, but I didn't think about it. And now here it is, Earth Day, and here is poem number 670, Earth Day poem. It's not the worst poem of the day. It's not as bad as poem number 667, but I think it's the second worst poem of the day. And I think it's safe to say it's one of the very worst Earth Day poems that anyone on Earth will write today. All right, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you. Happy Saturday. Happy Earth Day. Thank you.